What's up guys, welcome back to another video on What If Deku Was the Avatar Part 7. Now where we last left off, the USJ had just happened. All Might was talking with Deku. So, Yun Midoriya. Yes, All Might? Well, going off from I heard of the other students, you killed one of the villains? Well, yes, I did. The villain itself wasn't human. It didn't have the same energy flow. All Might looked at Deku weirdly. Deku explained, me being an airbender, I have to train my spiritual side. So I can tell when things are human and when they're not. And that thing, they called it a Nomu. It wasn't human. It just mindlessly attacked people like an animal. It seemed to have multiple quirks as well. It was regenerating quite quickly, and none of my attacks that were physical really did too much damage to it. But it didn't seem too smart, it just seemed like it was mindlessly fighting. Huh. I see. But still, isn't killing it a bit much? Yeah. I didn't mean to kill it, per se. I mainly used lava on it because none of my other bending elements I had currently would work. The wind blades I created, they work kind of sort of well, but he regenerated after every single attack damage I did. Not to mention, even lightning only stunned him partially. Because of it, I had to decide to do that. Okay. Yun Midoriya, I'm very sorry for what you had to do. And you having killed someone on your hands must be a lot for you to handle. And Deku just calmly responds, it actually isn't. And All Might looks at Deku kind of confused and is like, what do you mean it isn't? Well, you see, me being the reincarnation of the Avatar, I have killed people in the past. Heck, the only two lives that haven't enacted that they killed someone was my previous life, Korra, and the life before her, Aang. Everyone else said they had killed someone, but I thought the Avatar was the bringer of peace. Deku shook his head. No, I'm not the bringer of peace. I'm the bringer of balance. Balance and peace are not the same thing. I have to bring balance between good and evil. And also balance to the world. I have to make sure no singular country is too much stronger than the other. Huh. I see. Yes. Well, I wish you farewell, and hope your training continues well. Thank you. Deku then went back to Gran Torino. Gran Torino's like, so, you got the UA Sports Festival coming up in 2 weeks. Do you think you're going to participate? Deku thought about it. He was like, no, I am not going to participate. Huh, and why is that? Mainly because I don't have a full control of my powers. If I participate and another situation happens like it happened with Bakugo, I could easily destroy and injure multiple people inside the arena. So I decided I'll be taking a journey to the spirit world. The who's a what's it? Gran Torino responds, the spirit world. You know where my raccoon bandit comes from? My raccoon crow? Okay, and how do you get there? Well, so far, only I know I can physically go there, and I can bring creatures back from there. Huh. So, how long are you going to be staying there for? Well, what do I have to do for the next couple of weeks? Next 2 weeks are just for training. And what about after that? Well, then you have the sports festival, and then you also have, I guess you could say, you have internships, but you probably ain't gonna get any because of the sports festival, so it's probably just more training. So, I'll be doing all my training in the spirit realm. Well, kid, I don't think I can just let you go. Why is that? Well, kid, you do understand that you go into the spirit world means I can't keep an eye on you, period. Yes. But that also means that if I lose control of my powers, that there'll be no one around to harm. Fair enough. But why choose to go to the spirit world exactly? Well, you see, Gran Torino-sama, if I go to the spirit world, seeing how my hardest element to control is the air element, and the air element is connected directly to spirituality, I need to hone my spirit itself. And for that, going to the spirit world would be a lot smarter than staying here in the regular world. Or our world? I don't know. I'm still quite confused about the whole world dilemma. Okay. Well, how do you go? Deku says, well, I'll be going after dinner tonight. I'll be packing my bags. Well, no, I'll head next morning. Mainly because after I pack my bags and stuff and eat dinner, it would be better to head out in the morning rather than at night, especially because I need to make a camp and everything there for the time I'm staying there. Gran Torino responds, okay. Deku then had a dream that night. During that night, he could see what seemed to be like a man who was wearing a blue cloak that was cloaked in a purple misma. Deku tried to talk to the man, but the man just turned around with a smile on his face and said in a very deep tone, "Oh, we'll be meeting soon. Don't you wait, young avatar." As Deku got jolted awake. Deku thought it was just a nightmare, and that it wasn't an issue at all. Deku then got dressed. He put on clothes more similar to clothes that were described by him by the Earth Kingdom. He wore just a plain green tank top and a greenish-brown overcoat over that with tan jeans. He decided that if he was going to go to the spirit world, he might as well look the part. Deku laughed as he looked at himself in the mirror. He turned around to see the Earth Kingdom symbol that was engraved on his back. He's like, yep, looks all good. Deku then tells Gran Torino he'll be off as he sits floating into the center of the room. Then he suddenly disappears, and Gran Torino sighs. So the kid really can go through dimensions. Well then. When Deku opened his eyes, he was in what appeared to be a forest. Deku then stood up. He stretched his body out, and Bandit was still resting on his shoulder. Deku fed Bandit some berries he found. He started walking. He walked throughout the forest for about 2 hours. Didn't encounter much. He found a nice cave. It didn't appear that anyone was living in there, so Deku decided to make it his home away from home. His camp, to say the least. Deku then started to set up base before he started training. He got a sleeping bag and a tent out, as well as he brought some pots and pans and canteens to hold water and such. Deku was thoroughly prepared for the emergency. He also brought 4 changes of clothes, as well as an old-timey wash sheet. Afterwards, Deku started training his airbending by first becoming spiritually inclined. He took deep breaths as he tries to sense the spiritual energy around him. He could sense it. It was so much easier to sense here. It seemed that the spiritual energy here was magnified. Deku kind of laughed at this, going, well, I am in the spirit realm. I should expect the spiritual energy to be magnified immensely. Deku kept training his airbending for the next week. One day, when he woke up, he heard something flying overhead. So he got out there. He didn't see anything, but he heard noises. It sounded like people talking nearby. Deku then after getting a fire started to boil some water that he got from the river as he walked around trying to find where the people are. He saw this giant weird animal, which he recalled from Aang's memories being called a air bison, as well as what appeared to be 3 teenagers around his age sitting there. Deku quickly crouched in the trees, not knowing if they were hostile or not, and he listened into the conversation. One was a girl, another one seemed to be a male, and the third one also seemed to be another male. The girl seemed to be about around his age, and so did the smaller male of the two, when the secondary male seemed to be a little bit older. The first male and the female were both wearing this weird orange-looking jumpsuit, while the male seemed to be wearing more of a red one. The smaller male sighed. I can't believe we were called out into the spirit realm for no reason, the girl responded. Well, you can't just expect us to become one of the elite warriors for our nation and not have to be sent out on missions. Yeah, but this is still insane, said the male again. The older male says, why don't you quiet down, you rookie? And the younger male looked over at the older male and quickly straightened up and said, yes, Captain. Sorry, Captain. Deku's like, Captain, are they part of a squad or something? Just then, almost like an iconic trope or story was being played out, the branch he stood on broke, causing him to fall flat on his bum. The 3 personnel quickly turned around and prepared to attack him. Deku's like, whoa, chill, I'm safe, I swear. I got food cooking, you want some food? We can have food and we can chat. The older male looked towards the younger two. The female looked towards the older male and went back and forth between Deku and the older male, and she shook her head saying, okay. The male lowered his guard and said, okay, yeah, we'll come. Deku led his 3 new strange guests back to his base where he had food and stuff set up. Most of the people, the 3 people who came there were kind of surprised. Deku's stuff, they'd never seen it before. A tent, as he called it? They'd seen pots and pans before, but what was this weird thing? It looked like a jug for holding water, but it looked so much more advanced to what they'd known. Deku introduced himself. He's like, hello, my name is Izuku Midoriya. The female was the first to introduce herself. She said, hello, my name is Crystal. I'm an air nomad, or at least training to be a full-fledged one. Deku looked at Crystal and he was kind of surprised, because this girl who introduced herself as Crystal had more of a bluish tint to her hair and blue eyes, which kind of threw Deku off guard. The boy, the smaller one, responded, saying, oh yeah, and my name is Alex. How's your day? Alex was a brown-headed boy. He was a little bit smaller than the other 2, but he was also apparently the rookie, the newest member, so Deku could pass it off. The final one to introduce himself was the captain. He was like, hello, my name is Captain James. I'm the leader of our squadron, as you can probably guess. I'm from the Fire Nation. Deku was thinking about all of this, and he's like, wait a minute. Air Nomads and Fire Nation? I haven't heard those names since Aang and Cortara had told me about it. And all 3 of the guests he had there looked at him very confused, and he's like, Aang and Cortara, Korra, I called her Cortara. Korra told you about the Air Nomads and Fire Nation? Especially Aang? How did you meet Aang? Well, see, I'm the Avatar. And all 3 of them looked very suspiciously at Deku. And they're like, no, you're not. And Deku's like, yeah, I am. I have the previous lives inside me of the avatars prior to me. Three of them like, you can't be. Well, I am. That doesn't make sense. How does that not make sense? Because the Avatar is alive and is still doing Avatar things her own way. And Deku's like, what? Her own way? Who's this female? What do you mean? You said you've talked to her. Her name is Korra. Deku just sat back down about this, trying to think about the situation he's in. Then, a blue haze kind of focused around him as he summoned Kotora. I kept calling her Kotora. Korra and Aang out. And Aang and Korra are like, what's wrong, Deku? You seem disturbed. And Deku's like, okay. Listen to these three. The two on the left are air nomads, the one on the right's a Fire Nation, and Korra, they say you're still alive, and that you're still the Avatar, but I'm the Avatar. What's going on here? And the three personnel that are just sitting in front of Deku are shocked, seeing Deku bringing out the two previous Avatars, including Aang. Aang scratched his chin, he is like, I don't know. How can you both be the Avatar if Rava's the main spirit? Deku was thinking. He was rubbing the temple of his head while Korra was like, well, maybe when Rava got pulled out of me, she got split in half, and half of her that contained all the previous Avatars went to Deku, while the other half went back to me. And maybe that's why I can still have a shared connection with the regular me. Deku was thinking that was a semi-decent idea. So, you are the Avatar? Said Captain Jack. Captain Jack was a ginger with fiery red crimson eyes. He stood and he was more muscular than the other two personnel. Deku's like, yeah, I can prove it if I need to be. Deku then used the earth bending to bend up some earth for him to sit on. And then using fire bending, he then breathed fire. Afterwards, he used air bending. And Deku's like, that's all I know. I haven't practiced any water bending yet. And all three of his guests were just shocked. Aang kind of had a smug face as he saw how quickly Deku had increased his practicement on airbending, mainly because he was in the spirit realm. And Korra was kind of upset by this because she's losing. How can she lose to Aang, Korra thought. And the three of them are like, okay, we need to bring you back now. What do you mean you need to bring me back? Pack up your stuff, we're going, Captain James told Deku. Deku's like, whoa, where are we going? Where are you taking me? Obviously back to our world, so you can actually talk to the other Avatar? Or talk to yourself? God, this is confusing. You think it's confusing for you? I just found out I am still alive in another world. Think how confusing that is for me. Fair enough, Captain Jack says. Crystal just kind of smiles while Alex just kind of stands there dumbfounded in this situation. He still doesn't know what to say. And then Alex finally speaks and he's like, and I thought this was going to be boring. Now we have a secondary Avatar we get to bring back and presentate to everyone? God, this is going to be so cool. Deku just sighs and he's like, great. And this is how I start my time in the spirit world. I'm not even a full 2 weeks in. Deku then packs all of his stuff into his bag and then tells Bandit to hop on its back. And he's like, so how are we going to get there? And Captain Jack responded saying, well, we do have a flying bison, you know that? And Deku looked confusingly at Captain Jack and he's like, flying bison? I only remember that from Ain's memories. It's a giant bison that flies, correct? And Captain Jack kind of slaps his head. He's like, well, no shit, Sherlock. The name implies itself, doesn't it? Deku sighs and he's like, great. This situation again. Okay. Deku then walked up to the flying bison when they got there. Started painting. He's like, oh my god, it's so soft. And Captain Jack's like, yo, bro, stop petting my flying bison. Just get on his back. Deku responded, okay. And using airbending, he propelled himself upwards, landing on the back of the flying bison himself. Deku then laid back down on his back with his leg crossed, thinking about the situation that he was in, wondering what new adventures would wait with him, what's going to happen with this secondary avatar, how is everything going to go down, what's going on. Deku was then took a nap, falling back asleep, thinking, I woke up too early to handle this stuff, I'm going back to bed. Deku was then woke up by Crystal shaking him, saying, wake up, Mr. Midoriya, we're here. Deku then sits up and sees a giant city that looks like back in the early industrial era. Deku was kind of confused, saying, where are we? And both of the other two members who weren't looking at Deku turn around and were like, huh? You don't know where we're at? Republican City, bro. You know, the city that unites all four of the nations? Deku's like, oh yeah, I think I remember Korra telling me something about that. I don't know, bro. Deku was taken to this building. The building looked like a temple with the four signs of nations on it. The flying bison landed. All three of them got off, including Deku. Deku looked around. The building was impressively large. There was areas to store flying bisons and everything. It also seems that there was like a giant hole in the center of the city, or roots in the center of the city. You couldn't make out the roots. But then remember Korra saying something about the harmonic conversions and how it brought forth a new wave of airbenders. So Deku asked Crystal and Alex, asking, so are you guys part of the new wave of airbenders? Or were you guys the, descendants of Aang himself? Because Izuku had learned about the, air nomad genocide from Aang. It was a tough topic for Aang to tell Izuku about, but it was a topic nonetheless. And they both responded saying, no, we're from the newer one. We can't be that lucky to be related to Aang, Alex says as he laughs it off. Deku just took a deep breath in and out, and they entered this building. When they entered it, they saw people from all different types of colors. Some were wearing blue uniforms, some were wearing green, and others were wearing the orange ones like the Alex and Crystal, and red ones like Captain Jake. Eventually, Captain Jake dismissed Crystal and Alex, which they both cordially left the room, and brought Deku in to his commander. The commander was Chief Beifan. She had a stone look on her face as soon as she sees this boy being brought in. And she asks another one that was trapped in the spirit world or entered there and didn't know how to leave, she said with a cold voice. And Deku responded, no, I knew how to leave. And Captain Jack just looked over at Deku like, you should shut up. Huh, is that the case, boy? Then why are you here? Well, you see, I found out that my situation's kind of peculiar. Deku explains that he was training in the spirit world to master his airbending when all of a sudden he heard some noises and people talking nearby. So while Deku was purifying water to prepare breakfast, he went to check it out. He then met Captain Jake and his whole entire platoon. I can't talk today, guys, my bad. And that he was the Avatar, which Chief Beifan started to laugh at, and she's like, you, the Avatar? Who do you think you are? And Deku's like, I'm the Avatar. Do you not believe me? I can show you right now. It's not difficult. And she's like, oh, really? Prove it to me. Deku then used earthbending on a smaller scale to lift some rocks and send a small rock flying at her, and then using metal bending pulled off the cuffs. She's like, you can do metal bending, so what? And then Deku then used fire bending, with the flames just being slightly away from her face. And then afterwards used a little bit of lightning bending as well to charge the lamp that was sitting on her desk. Chief Beifan was already shocked by this, but that wasn't all Deku could do. Deku then did air bending to shoot a gust of wind at her to prove that he was an airbender too. Deku apologized because he was like, yeah, I don't know actually waterbending yet. I haven't learned waterbending. Mainly because I was having such a tough time with airbending. That's the whole reason why I came here in the first place. Chief Beifan, understanding the situation, said, okay, you're dismissed now, Captain Jake. Izuku Midoriya, was it? Yes, ma'am? I need you to stay. Deku sighs, thinking, how did his trip to the spirit world end up with him being in a police station? And that's where we're going to leave it off, guys. If you liked it, hit the like button. And if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button. And until next time, goodbye.